Pruning is a very controversial topic in the tomato growing universe, and for good reason. I mean, there's so many different ways you can prune your tomatoes. Which is the best way? I don't know. Do you have to prune single stemmed, two stemmed, triple stemmed, or should you not prune at all? Well, in today's video, we're going to be looking at some single stem tomato plants, which is what I'm growing in my garden this year, and I'm going to share with you a trick that tomato plants sometimes have up their sleeves and how you can avoid being bamboozled. Now, the average indeterminate tomato plant grows with a main stem, and then at each junction between the main stem and a leaf branch, you'll probably have something called a sucker or a side shoot jutting out. Now, this is something that'll create a brand new stem if you let it grow, but in this particular trellising style, which is the string trellis method, check out my previous video on the string trellis system and how it works. I'm going to be training these to a single stem. To do so, I'm going to want to remove all the suckers because those would be turning into additional stems. But this right here is an example of a very well pruned single stem beefsteak tomato plant. I believe this variety is called Italian Special Pear, and it's looking pretty healthy so far. We're seeing some flowers and some fruit setting on it already. And this is just what your typical tomato plant is going to grow like. Very simple, very straightforward. Just pluck or cut off all the suckers and you're good to grow. But sometimes your tomato plants can get a little tricky on you. And this has happened with this particular plant. This is a big beefsteak tomato, really nice productive beefsteak. You can see here, if you take a look, that it has actually forked off into two main stems. So this is not actually a sucker here, it is another main stem. It is a fork in the tomato plant. And so I used to kind of get confused by this. I would think, well, it's not a sucker, so I can't just pick it off with my fingers. And I don't know, should I cut it off? What should I do? So the solution to this problem and to maintain that single stem, it's actually very simple. Yes, you just simply cut it off. Now, you can see here, we've got the main stem, and then this is where it forks out. We've got one stem going this way, one stem going this way. Now, this stem here, you can see it's got the flower cluster right there. Now, I don't want to cut that one off because you can see this one here doesn't have any flowers on it yet. So that tells me that this guy here is the big kahuna, the main guy, the main squeeze. And I want to leave this stem intact. So this one right here, I'm just gonna snip, lop it off, and there you have it. And then once you've done that, you've got your nice main stem again. Just continue pruning it as you normally would and wrapping it around your string or tying it onto whatever support structure you have for your plants. I also wanted to mention it's best to do this in the evening. That way, when you cut off a significant portion of the plant, it's going to have time to recuperate overnight rather than get completely destroyed by the sun during the day after it just had a very traumatic amputation. This little tomato quirk can happen on cherry tomatoes, but I find that most often it happens with the beefsteaks from personal experience. So once you've got your clipping, you can either toss it in the compost pile, or what you can do if you have a particularly lengthy growing season, you can plant it up or pot it up and it'll actually grow roots out of it. It'll turn into another tomato plant. But again, that's only going to work if you have a longer growing season, because obviously it's going to take time for this thing to grow. So now you know how to deal with your tomato plant if it forks on you. You just knife it. Actually, use pruning shears on it. Well, you could use a knife. Bad joke. I'm going to stop now. I got to go inside and get a snack. I'm thirsty and hungry. And I'm talking too much. My name's Lucas. I love growing tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, pretty much any fruiting crop, or any vegetable for that matter. And this is my channel. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you got something out of it, smash like, leave a comment if you've got any questions at all, and I'll see you in the next one.